Hello, and welcome back to the Career Jumpstart series, where we discuss topics each week to help jumpstart your career in tech. My name is Anna Kim, and I'm a sophomore majoring in computer science and also a peer advisor here at Luddy Career Services. This week's video is a continuation off of last week's, where I got to sit down and chat with my former manager from Trane Technologies, Rebecca Wells. And as a quick recap, Rebecca has been working for Trane for the past 20 years, and she started off on the business side of things, but then moved into the data and analytics area, where she's been working for the past 10 years. And she's currently the data and analytics catalyst in the IT sector at Trane. So today we'll be talking more about her experiences as a woman in tech. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I wanted to pivot now more towards women in the workforce, because this is like a woman in tech interview. And so you gave me this amazing book to read called Taking the Stage: How Women Can Speak Up, Stand Out, and Succeed. Basically just talking about how women can frame themselves in the workplace to have successful careers. And so highly recommend this book to any other woman out there. But my question to you is, what did your growth look like as a woman in tech, and what steps did you take to make sure you were advancing your career and getting those opportunities that lead to visibility from higher level managers?
Okay, great question. And I'm glad you asked it, because I wish I would have known when I was your age what I know now.
Okay.
There is no substitute at all for sponsors and mentors. Something I didn't know until 2017, almost 15 years into my career. Up until that point, up until I went into women's leadership program in 2017, I just did it on my own. I never had a mentor. I never had a sponsor, but from whatever seat I was sitting in, I would look around and I'd be like, I think I want to try that next. I get bored easy. So I'm always looking for the next challenge, although admittedly, as I've gotten further along in my career, the challenges have gotten way harder. So I'm less likely to be looking for that next thing. But up until that point, I would spot the next thing that I wanted, and I would figure out who was in that sphere of influence. And I would look for opportunities to get involved with a project, or just do some work that was associated with whatever job it was I thought I wanted next. And there was always a way. And I can't give you anything prescriptive. It was just, there was always some way to kind of maneuver my way into because everybody needs help. And I would get my name out there, and eventually there'd be an opportunity, and I would just take it. And that's literally what I did for the first 15 years. When I went to women's leadership program, everything changed for so many reasons. One being because I actually got a sponsor. So meaning like an ELT level, like president level sponsor. Someone to very purposely help me with my career and think through next steps and handle political roadblocks and all that stuff. I also onboarded with a mentor outside of women's leadership program. Once I realized the importance of having a sponsor or a mentor, the sponsorship ended when women's leadership program ended. But I picked up a mentor who became, she was life-changing for me. It was a woman mentor, which I also recommend. And there is just no substitute for someone higher up on the food chain fighting on your behalf and opening doors that you don't even know are there, and sometimes creating opportunities for you that weren't there before. So get a mentor or get a sponsor. Every company's a little bit different. Sponsorship is pretty formal. It typically happens through some sort of mechanism delivered by the company. Mentorship should happen organically, at least the way I see it. It should be someone that you are drawn to, someone that you think you can connect to, someone you have a natural way with. And to me, it's a little bit longer term relationship. The other thing I would say, women's leadership was super important for me, because it was the first time in my career that someone told me the soft skills that I naturally am very good with were important. and that they mattered. And it was literally the first time I had ever heard it. So up until that point, I had been fighting my entire career to up my game from a technical standpoint, because it's an engineering company. I was raised by a bunch of engineers, right? Like, this is all I knew. And along comes these women, and they're telling me that my propensity for strong communication, my very, very strong empathy, my relatability, and my ability to inspire people were important. And I needed to hear that, because just because I'm in tech doesn't mean that that's actually my strongest set of skills. And it allowed me to embrace who I am. And I'm a little quirky, I'm a little weird, I'm all about people. I'm making this up as I go along. And until I went through Women's Leadership Program, I could not have said that out loud. And now I'm like, this is me. This is what it is. This is what I can do for you. And it's very empowering to be able to embrace your true strengths, whether they're technical or not.
Yeah. So then is Women's Leadership Program, was that something done through Trane or like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They take, COVID has really screwed some stuff up. So I don't know how it's working right now, but at the time that I went through, we were still part of Ingersoll Rand. So it was a bigger company, and they took 20 to 22 women a year, period, globally. Very, very, very difficult to get into. I didn't even know it existed until I got nominated and accepted. And at the time, I was moving houses. I was newly into getting my graduate degree, still had 4 kids, still had a full-time job. I remember telling Brian, this is the worst possible time to do this, but I knew it was an opportunity that might never come again. And so I did it anyway. And it was the best thing I ever did for my career. Best thing. Super challenging. Holy cats. So worth it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad that you did that, and that someone helped you realize that there's so much more than just like the technical skills. And I feel like you really are a people person, and that really shines when I was working with you, even just last summer. And so I was wondering if you've ever experienced some difficulty in the workplace because of your gender, and like what those experiences were like.
You know, for me, it's a little more general. Like, there aren't isolated incidents that I could point to.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the statistics, which I hadn't been as fully aware of until Women's Leadership Program, we're pretty lopsided. Like, when you look at the top of the food chain, it's men. And actually, the sponsors that we got for Women's Leadership Program, every single one of them was a man. And we asked about it. And the woman who was running it, who's utterly amazing, her name is Cherie, said very plainly, we give you sponsors because these are the people that can open up really serious doors for your career, which means they have to be at the ELT level. And there are no women. Right?
I see.
Right? Yeah. See? So, I mean, really interesting, really, really interesting. IR and Trane Technologies has continued it, the paradigm for parity. So by 2030, they want 50-50 women and men in their stack of leadership. Mm-hmm. And so I think that has changed the conversation a little bit, where they're being more purposeful about, even like when they hire. I have heard of some teams removing names off of the resume, so you can't tell offhand if it's a man or a woman, so that at least they get a diverse slate. That's the idea. You get a diverse slate, a 50-50 slate of men and women, and then how they perform during the interview, that's up to them. You know, but yeah, in general, we've got some work to do, but the company's actively working towards it, and that's infinitely important to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know that not everyone watching this may be a woman, but like sometimes like women do struggle, and I hope that people watching this can realize that, even if you can't relate. And so any males, you can be an ally in the workspace. And so male allies are people that use their influence, knowledge, and resources to support those that are part of marginalized groups, including women. And so I was wondering if you could share any experience where the actions of someone with more influence help you feel more included and heard in the workspace.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the easiest example is Seth. And you know Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently on my, we had my yearly review, and he made the comment, even when we have really difficult conversations, like, you come out the other end and we're good, And I said, well, that's because of you, right? Like, you create a safe space for me to be honest with you and to tell you what I think. And that allows me to say what I need to say, accept whatever the right thing to do is from you, my leader standpoint, and move on. Like, you create a safe space for that to happen. I'm just stepping into it. So I've worked for a lot of different people. I've worked for men. I've worked for women. Man, working for someone who creates a safe space where you can be open and honest, there is no substitute for that at all. Male or female, it does not matter. You need to find someone who knows how to listen and can take a tough conversation and not let it become personal between the two of you.
Mm-hmm. So like it's kind of separating work, life, kind of just like being able to listen to what you have without hurting each other, right?
Exactly. And it sounds obvious, right? But it's not. I could count on one hand, I could count on a couple fingers, the leaders that I've had that have created that kind of safe space. So I'm super sensitive to it. Like, I'm very aware that when it's done well, it makes teams amazing. People need to be heard. Male, female, it doesn't matter. People need to be heard. And that's something that a lot of leaders miss. So find a leader that's willing to listen, can have super tough conversations and still be professional and keep on trucking with you.
That is so true. So yes, for people watching out there, keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering, like, in your opinion, what actions can males take to help create a more gender inclusive and gender supportive working environment? I know you kind of just talked on like listening and creating that safe space, but do you have any other thoughts on what people could do to help?
Yes. Assuming that your company has programs like mine do, whether it's women's leadership, there's also Women in Action. There are a ton of groups around diversity, tons of them that aren't just female orientated, all sorts of different diversity, pretty much everything you could think of. And one of the things that I've noticed is there are certain male leaders who lend their name to these things, whether it's women's leadership or some other group. And when you reach a certain sphere of influence and you lend your name to anything at all, it makes a difference. It elevates the status of whatever group you're joining into. So that would definitely be something I would look for males that are in leadership in any company that I work for. Are you getting involved? Are you attaching your name to things that bring about diversity? Because culture is created from the top down. Like, I have learned this in a super, super visceral way. Culture is created from the top down. So if you want to take anything from a diversity perspective or any perspective at all, if you want it taken seriously, it starts at the top. Get involved and be visible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like just having their name, yeah, like you said, it really elevates it and makes the company take it more seriously. But like even people that aren't in such high levels, they can obviously still join these groups and show that they're supporting these other communities out there. And so to kind of wrap things up, I wanted to ask you to impart some final words of wisdom to all of the young and upcoming talent in tech. And so could you give one last final piece of advice to our viewers out there?
Yes. I'm gonna give two. One being the uniqueness of who you are is your best leverage point. There is no one like you, and you need to learn what you're good at, and you need to embrace it and rock it. Because what you bring to the table is different than what anybody else can bring to the table. And it is the only thing that helps us stand out is who we really, really are. Now, I didn't learn that until 2017. You guys don't have to wait 15 years in your career to figure that out. Be yourself. It is absolutely your best platform to lever from. That would be the first thing. The second thing is you are your own advocate. So obviously my world was radically changed by mentorship and sponsorship and all of that stuff. And it helped me recognize that all of the things I had done as my own advocate for the first 15 years were amplified significantly with the help of others. So you do need other people. But at the end of the day, you are your own advocate and you cannot wait for somebody to advocate for you. So figure out what you want to do next. And not that you don't have to decide right now what you want to be or who you're going to be. I still don't know. And I'm a lot older than you. But figure out what your next step is and find ways to open doors to get to where you want, whether it's just you on your own or whether it's through someone else, but just be your own advocate.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think like that book that you gave me definitely touched on that, especially just like having that confidence to advocate for yourself because no one else knows you better than yourself. And so you got to do it for yourself. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And so that's a wrap for this week's Luddy Career Jumpstart. See you next time, where each week we'll discuss a different topic focused on helping you jumpstart your career in tech. Thank you.
Yay, thank you.